From Maine to Rhode Island, fishing is an essential part of the history and fabric of New England. Fishing was such an important part of the colonial economy that to this day the Massachusetts state legislature cannot meet without hanging what is perhaps the earliest fishing trophy in America, a pinewood carving called the Sacred Cod. If you're one of the thousands of modern New Englanders who love fishing offshore, you'll want to pay special attention to our next segment as we introduce you to Offshore Innovations, a Cape Cod company that's setting a new standard in deep-sea fishing equipment.
Here we go! Worked up. Oh, big one! Here we go, reel, Jimmy!
The thrill of the catch. It's what keeps fishermen coming back to the sea.
That's the best part, is the initial bite of any big game fish. Yeah, you know, you get the prolonged fight, but it's the bite that happens that really is the most exciting part. You know, especially when it's a large fish, you know, 400, 500 pound marlin comes tearing into the spread. I mean, it gets your blood pumping, adrenaline's at full speed, and that's truly what I love is the bite.
Starting out catching mostly striped bass, Kevin Glynn from Offshore Innovations had his eyes on something bigger.
As a kid growing up, I always had the taste for the offshore bug, which is catching tuna, marlin, shark. And as I grew older, I got invited to fish on more and more boats, getting into the offshore game, big game, tackle, fishing, that type thing. And really sunk its hooks in me as far as the big game fishing.
Kevin eventually became a captain and began tinkering with making his own tackle and other gear.
Offshore Innovations was originally, it wasn't started to be a business, it was started on just personal techniques and designs that we used to do ourselves. Fishermen are probably the most ingenious group of people out in the world. We come up with stuff that people scratch their heads and say, how do you ever come up with that? And it's just, my old boss used to call it the racer's edge, is being a step above the next guy, having a lure that swims a little bit better, or pops or splashes differently than something that's on the market. We make a lot of modifications in our rigging, the way we rig it, and that's a big part.
Yeah!
As I designed my own stuff for personal use, people saw that we were doing real well, and they asked, oh, you know, can you make me up one of these rigs or one of these different rigs, whatever it may be. So I started making them up for them, and then I came up with a couple of unique designs of my own that I knew would be very important in the sport fishing market and commercially viable. And that's where I came up with a few of the designs that have really changed the way guys really take their approach to certain products and tools that we use in big game fishing.
The first piece of equipment Kevin designed for sale was a harpoon that used a heavyweight head.
And these harpoons aren't used in the way that a lot of people think they are. They're used as a tool to land big fish next to the boat. They're one of the safest methods to land big fish.
And it could be broken down into pieces for easy storage, but not lose any strength when in use.
My first 10 harpoons I sold were really just to buddies of mine that saw what we had and they really wanted one. And I had a friend of mine that runs a tackle shop in Florida. I sent him down a couple, and he called me back 2 weeks later and says, hey man, you know, I need 6 more. And that's how this whole business was started, just on pure necessity and personal use, that it turned into a business afterwards.
From there, things began to take off, with Kevin creating more cutting-edge tackle designs.
It's a never-ending challenge to make better products, to make sturdier products, make things last a lot longer. It's a lot more technical than a lot of people would realize really goes into fishing tackle design, because you want to build something that lasts, or at least my goal of my company is to build equipment that lasts. We take pride in the quality of our stuff. We use only the best available materials to us, manufacturing from stainless steel to titanium to all the different types of chrome plating, nickel plating, all to basically protect this equipment from the saltwater environment.
The other challenge for Offshore Innovations is to always stay one step ahead of the competition.
And one of the product innovations I came up with that's really one of my best-selling products is this is what they call a dredge, or some people call them umbrella rigs. And prior to my design, this is what you had out there. It was fixed arm, it was rigid. This is the smallest one that we make. This is 18 inches. They make them up to 36 or 48 inches long. So you can imagine something 36 inches in circumference with fixed rigid arms like this, where to store it is just a real nightmare on the boat. What I came up with was this collapsible dredge design. You back the cap off till it stops, spin the dredge closed, and this stores in one flat plane. And 95% of the products I manufacture now are a result of being out there fishing and testing things and trying new methods and new equipment and different ways to approach the game. And in that, I'll be out fishing and I'll see something that, say, a product that gets in the way too much or a different way to store it, or a product that's bulky or cumbersome, and we want to break it down into a smaller package. And then I come back to the shop and start tinkering with things. I've got a million ideas. I got a notebook filled with ideas, and we just slowly bring them into the product line. It takes about a year, year and a half for a new product to be fully developed and then bring it into the manufacturing side of things.